Hello and welcome. After reading the first few issues of the most recent Mr. Miracle series, I decided to check out the other work of the writer, Tom King. This led me to try out the 12-issue series, The Vision. Now, I remember this series getting a lot of attention when it was first published, but to be honest, I found the premise and the covers to be mostly unappealing. The idea of a robot superhero trying to establish and maintain a domestic life seemed kinda done. And the cover suggested that inside, we'd see the wacky misadventures of a robot family trying to adapt to suburbia. Basically, I thought it was a superhero sitcom, and that hasn't worked too well in the recent past for Marvel. Also, as a character, I can't pretend I find the Vision all that interesting. In fact, I think he's rather bland. And his prior relationship with Scarlet Witch always felt unrealistic and forced. I mean, a robot impregnating a mutant with phantom babies sounds interesting on paper, but to me it seemed like a desperate attempt to make their relationship interesting. I mention all of this because I had low expectations for the series going into it, and I was prepared to be thoroughly underwhelmed. However, I was completely, utterly, unbelievably impressed with the Vision. A robot trying to balance a home life with superheroic adventures is still the premise. But the series focuses almost entirely on the family, rather than on the Vision. And ultimately, the story is not a comedy, it is a tragedy. The title of the series itself not only pertains to the character, the Vision, but it also pertains to the character's manufactured ideal of a domestic family life. The family the Vision constructs is, well, exactly that, a literal and metaphorical construction based on cold, methodical research. Furthermore, the title pertains to an apocalyptic prophecy of a possible future, should this character continue to pursue this fantasy of living in suburbia. There's one sequence in the 10th issue that just breaks my heart. The quiet desperation and the emotional distress, and the attempt to resolve a tragic event with logic is just, man. It is a moment that is earned. And I've removed the words from the page scrolling by, because it needs to be discovered in context, not within a review. I won't take that moment from you. The series thoroughly examines, as best as it can in a mainstream title, the perceptions and misperceptions of being normal. It's about being a social misfit and trying to adapt to society's expectations at the expense of the qualities that make you a unique entity. And it's the slow realization that you'll never fit in, you'll never be accepted, and that being normal is a delusion everyone buys into for no good reason. It's the heartbreak of finally realizing that no matter how carefully you maintain appearances, you'll always be an outsider. It also deconstructs the concept of a family, or family values, to use a highly overused phrase in today's media, and how that catchphrase is a false face, a transparent facade that is unrealistic and forced. At the same time, it isn't cynical or openly opposed to the concept of a family. It simply suggests that the narrow, 50 eras definition of a family is a ridiculous standard, particularly in a modern world. In the end, the Vision is about how we all buy into and pretend there is something we can define as being normal, when in fact, there is no such definition. Furthermore, trying to adapt to this concept of normalcy makes you a part of a delusional crowd of people, or robots if you will, and removes your ability to be an individual. Accept yourself and what you are, and others will come to accept that this is your version of normal. This is an extremely positive message, and yeah, one can cynically read that as, we're all unique snowflakes and deserve respect, blah blah blah. Ordinarily, I would be sneering this sentiment right alongside of you. However, within the comic, it's a sentiment that is talked around, rather than talked about, and that's the difference. It's the subtext. This is personified by Vivian, who embodies the message as the series concludes. She makes a simple declaration made without anger, despite the tragic events that led her to this conclusion. It's a quiet, organic moment between a parent and a child, now a young woman, who is beginning to develop her own path. It highlights the differences between their two unique perspectives, and how their characters have developed through the course of the series. This is not an offbeat, quirky series about the wacky misadventures of a robot family, as the covers seem to suggest. It's an exploration of family and the unrealistic ideals that tend to tear them apart.